Master Passive Income Audio presents Successfully Unemployed. The 16 real-life lessons you must learn before you quit your job and live the life of your dreams. Written by Dustin Heiner. Read by Sky Matsuhashi. Chapter 1. First and Foremost. Dwight D. Eisenhower once said, "The older I get, the more wisdom I find in the ancient rule of taking first things first, a process which often reduces the most complex human problem to a manageable proportion." Entrepreneurs dream about quitting their job. Entrepreneurs actually do it. From elementary school on, we're all taught that we need to get a good job to provide for our family and retire when we're 68 years old with a good pension, 401k, or some other retirement plan. The huge problem with that is you've already passed up your prime years working for someone else, making them rich. Why not retire at age 35 and live the rest of your life free from your job? It's possible, and there is a way to be successfully unemployed. The day I quit my job was one of the best days of my life. I was terrified, but I had planned almost 10 years for that day. When I was 27 years old, I made a commitment to myself to quit in 10 years. From that day forward, I was dedicated to the end goal of quitting my job. Going through this process, I learned a lot: what to do and what not to do. When you quit your job, will you do it well? Will you set yourself up to be successful, or will you be forced to get a job again? Fortunately, you found the book that will help you become successfully unemployed and never work for someone again. By learning these lessons that I had to figure out the hard way, you'll be able to quit even sooner than you think. If I would have learned these lessons, I would have quit 2 years earlier than I did. Successfully Unemployed is your guide to help you understand what to do before you quit your job and go it alone, relying only on your business income to live on. These lessons have been proven to help many people quit their jobs successfully, be unemployed, and live their dream life. Those who've already started their business and are close to taking the leap of faith in themselves will benefit from following the path I've laid out for you in this book. The path to quitting your job has already been expertly navigated and will help you learn how to escape your job successfully. As a lifetime student of business, passive income, and master of the art of using passive income to make money, I've already quit my job. Now, I provide for my family solely on passive income from many businesses I built and continue to build. I and many others have been in your shoes, wanting to quit their job, but not knowing how to do it. It's up to you to follow the path that government employees, construction workers, financial analysts, self-employed business owners, and countless others who struggled with working a job have already traveled. And job, J-O-B, stands for just over broke. With me by your side and these lessons as your guide, you'll be prepared for what will come your way as you quit your job. From a lifetime of learning about business and dreaming of one day quitting my job, I urge you to take that leap of faith and apply these lessons to your exit plan. That leap of faith is having faith in yourself. You can and will be successful in your new life without a job holding you back from what life has in store for you. This book will help you to make more money from your business and be set up to live the life of your dreams. I'll walk you step by step through the thought process and show you how to change from fearing a life without a job to being excited to quit your current job. You'll learn that there is a right way to quit your job and how you can do it for yourself. I promise that if you learn and implement these lessons into your plan, you'll be equipped to be successfully unemployed. Don't be the person who misses out on opportunities in life because you're stuck in the same dead-end job. Be the kind of person other people marvel at, saying, "I don't know how they do it, but they're living the life of their dreams." Be the kind of person who sees opportunities in life and takes action immediately. The lessons contained in this book have been proven to produce long-lasting results. I've already quit my job and you can too. Get ready for a lifetime of happiness without a job, living on your business income, and having enough money to do the things you want to do without being dependent on anyone for a job. I encourage you to take the first step and start living the life you were meant to live. Take control of your life right now and make the decision to quit your job and be successfully unemployed. What you will learn. The question comes up quite often in random conversations. Why don't you have a job? Each time I get this, or some variation of this question, I have to stop myself. I ask them a question in return. Why do you have a job? The answers are usually the same. Because I have bills to pay. As the conversation progresses, what it all boils down to is they believe the only way to provide for themselves and their families is through a job. It's not their fault that they have that belief. They've been taught since childhood that this is the way it's supposed to be. We've all been taught that we need to go to school to get into a good college, go to a good college to get a good job to have a good life. Have a good life so you can retire when you're 68 years old and not work again. What if this way of thinking is completely wrong? What if there was another way to provide for your family without a job? I'm here to tell you that there is another way. Actually, there are many ways to live and be successfully unemployed. What you need to do is apply yourself to building a successful business that earns you the amount of income you need to replace the income from your job. If you picked up this book, you may already understand this concept and have bought into the idea of not having a job. You may already have a side business that you want to be able to call your main business. If you're in this place in your journey, you're on the right track. This book is designed to teach you the lessons you need to know before you quit your job. It's a scary thing to give up a steady income where the paychecks roll in month after month. If you look at it from another perspective, it should be even scarier giving up your life week after week for a regular paycheck. I guarantee you that you'll be able to make way more money with your own business than you ever could with a job working for someone else. During the months leading up to when I quit, I was very worried about living without a regular paycheck. Looking back now, with the lessons learned and taught within this book, I didn't have anything to fear. I've already successfully quit my job, and now I live a life unemployed, and I'm loving every minute of it. My businesses earn more money than I ever could have earned from a job. Why you need this book. What does it truly mean to be rich? The very first definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary for the word rich is defined as having abundant possessions and especially material wealth. I can't really argue with that definition. That's seemingly the original definition of the word that we're all taught growing up. This is how most people define the word, but I submit to you that for anyone who wants to be successfully unemployed and independent, rich can mean something else. If you keep going down the list of definitions for the word, you will come to a definition that I believe applies to those who quit their job to be independent and self-sufficient. All the way down to the seventh definition, Part B, you'll read that rich is meaningful or significant. If you're asked who you think is the richest person in the world, you probably think of Bill Gates, Donald Trump, or Warren Buffett. These would definitely fit the first definition of the word. But would you think of the small business owner that makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year removing dents from cars? What about the guy that owns the local breakfast house in town who works 2 to 3 hours a day because he loves talking to customers? Or the poker player that doesn't have a job but earns his money coaching others to play poker through one-on-one coaching, online courses, webinars, blogs, and podcasts? Would you consider these business owners rich? I submit to you that the term rich can also be applied in other ways. It can be applied to those who have an abundance of free time in their lives because they're successfully unemployed. These are the rich who can do what they want to do when they want to do it and never have to answer to a boss again. What this book is and is not. This book is not going to show you how to quit your job. I'm going to assume that you are already going down the entrepreneurial road with your businesses and you're making money. Teaching the how is way beyond the scope of this book. This book is going to teach the lessons you need to know before you quit your job and how to be successfully unemployed. If you do have questions on how to make money from businesses and passive income, check out my blog at www.masterpassiveincome.com. There's loads of free content on how you can quit your job with many different types of businesses with a special emphasis on passive income. I personally use real estate rental properties to earn enough income to replace the income from my job. This type of business and many others will give you the ability to make enough money each month to replace that income from your regular job. This book will not tell you to save your money your entire life and retire at age 68 when everyone else retires. This, in itself, is not a bad thing to do, and the lessons in this book can apply to those at age 68 as well. The plan laid out in this book is for you to quit your job well before you reach retirement age, and do it successfully. This book will not help you find your dream job. They say the dream job is doing what you love and being paid for it. I would say that's true for everyone but the entrepreneur who wants to quit their job. Entrepreneurs want to be free of the shackles of a job, even if it is the dream job. With a job, you're still trading your hours for dollars. The best job is one that you do not have to work at all. What you will learn in this book are the lessons that will help an entrepreneur like yourself with a profitable side business to successfully quit your job and never work another one again. These lessons come from my own personal experiences, as well as many others. Think of this book as a roadmap that's showing you the destination you want to get to. My goal is to guide you in this journey, to give you the knowledge you need to never work a job again. With these lessons, you'll be able to plan your escape from the rat race of life and finally have the freedom to live your life the way you want to. Take action. Learning without application is a waste of time and energy. To help you implement these lessons into your plan, there is a Take Action section at the end of every lesson for you to apply what you learned. Once you've built up your businesses to replace your income from your job, you're ready to quit. But if you quit without having a strong plan, thinking through all the hurdles and pitfalls, you may find yourself back working another job. This isn't necessarily failure, just a detour. Failure is only when you have given up on your dream to never work a job again. By planning for the future before you quit, you'll be set up for success. For example, if you don't plan for your health insurance before you quit, you may be stuck without it or be paying much more for the insurance than you need to be. It's always better to be proactive rather than reactive. If you're reactive in your planning, you're pressed to make quick and possibly wrong decisions that you wouldn't normally choose to make. You're limited because of the lack of time, the lack of money, the lack of options, or all the above. By being proactive, you have the ability to make much better decisions because you have many more options. Completing each of the Take Action sections will help you plan your escape well. Chapter 2: My Story and How I Became Successfully Unemployed. Dennis Waitley said, "The winners in life think constantly in terms of I can, I will, and I am. Losers, on the other hand, concentrate their waking thoughts on what they should have or would have done, or what they can't do." The walk down the familiar hallway felt longer than I remembered. As each footstep hit the ground, I got closer and closer to my boss's office. The doorway of his office looked small from where I was, but it was getting larger and larger as I got closer. As I walked through the hall of the office where I had worked for 9 years, I knew this was the day. The closer I got, the more I realized that all the rumors were true. Once I arrived at my boss's office, his secretary, a lovely lady, motioned for me to sit down on one of the uncomfortable chairs he had outside his office. "Have a seat and he'll be with you in just a few minutes," she said to me in a soft and reserved manner. Her face was sad and consoling. It was as if I were a lamb being led to the slaughter while she could do nothing to help, but was reserved to just stand there and watch. Sitting outside of my boss's office, I knew what was about to happen. Minute after minute went by, and all I could do was wait. After about 5 minutes, I heard voices coming from his office as he and another one of my coworkers neared the door for them to exit. The door opened to my coworker exiting the office with a manila envelope in her hands. This was one of many that were on my boss's desk that he was giving to about 10 employees. I knew that one of those envelopes were for me. It was 4:30 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. The rumors, signs, hushed conversations, and a meeting with my boss all pointed to one thing. I was being laid off. Little did my boss know I was ready. I had been preparing for something like this for years. I heard the saying a long time ago. It's not if you lose your job, but when you lose your job. As a young college student hearing this, I was obviously concerned about my future. All my life, my schooling had taught me to work hard for someone else. I learned how to be an employee and make someone else money. At the young age of 13, like most boys my age, I loved to be active. Playing sports, riding bikes, camping, fishing, and all the other things most boys love to do. Little did I know that I had a drive in me that others didn't have. I had the drive to be independent and self-reliant. Self-motivation was never a problem for me, and neither was the ability to buck the system. All my life, I found myself questioning all the rules I was given. I had always been that kid who questioned and acted against the rules. A good example of this was when I was 3 years old. My aunt told me to not touch the wall she had just painted in her house. Upon hearing the rule to not touch the paint, I immediately stuck out my hand and planted my entire palm and fingers into the fresh paint. With my entire hand pressed firmly on the new paint, I looked at my aunt in defiance. Needless to say, I received a good spanking for it. Questioning rules like this seemed easy for me, and painful at times. I found myself innately questioning why things were the way they were. At a young age, I questioned why I needed to work for someone else to make a living. I desired to know how to make money on my own without working for someone else. This desire probably came because I was told that to earn a living, I needed to go to school and get a good job. It was my ability to look past the rules to see how I can bend, if not break them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying break the laws. Breaking the law is a crime and should not be done. I am talking about those rules that others impose on you because they impose them on themselves. There is one rule that I am very glad I broke many years ago. The rule is go to school, go to college, get a job, save money, buy a home, get out of debt, invest in the stock market, work until the government-designated retirement age of 68 to retire, then live on your savings and hope it doesn't run out. This rule seemed ridiculous to me as a young adult. Why wait until 68 to retire? Why do I need to work for someone else my entire life, making them money while I work my life away? I decided to break this rule because I did not want to wait 50 years to not have a job. My rationale was that someone needed to be the business owner, but why did it have to be someone else? If someone had to be the business owner, why couldn't it be me? How I successfully quit my job. The adrenaline pumped through my veins. Looking at the flickering neon Coca-Cola sign in the retail business I started 6 months prior, I envisioned my not-so-distant future ahead of me. A future where I would never have to work for anyone ever again. I had just gotten back from an on-site visit to Youngstown, Ohio, where I had recently put in an offer for an investment home for $17,000 cash. Okay, Dustin, the property is yours. Dave, my seasoned realtor, informed me over the phone from Ohio. Even though I was living in California, I saw the potential of real estate in other areas of the country and bought another rental property there. My goal was not to flip houses, but to own and rent them. Terrific. Thanks, Dave. Please give the keys to my property manager so she can get the place rented. I replied with a little anxiety in my voice. It took a lot of convincing for my wife to agree to spend our life savings on an investment property 3,000 miles away. My sales pitch to her was that we would earn passive income in monthly cash flow by renting the house to tenants we would never meet. Since this was the first investment property we had ever bought, it was quite the nerve-wracking experience, filled with uncertainty and doubt. The following questions came to my mind. Did I do the right thing with our life savings? Was this the right house to buy for an investment? Was this the right area to invest in? What if the house caught fire and burnt down? What would we do if we get horrible tenants? What will we do if the furnace goes out and there's a $2,500 expense? How do we manage a rental property when we have never done it before? After hanging up the phone with my realtor, all these questions and more swirled inside my head. For some reason, though, maybe it's the optimist in me, I knew everything would be just fine. Looking back now, everything would be just fine, as long as we kept the course of building businesses with passive income. For the next 9 years, every penny I earned from the passive income went back into the business to make more passive income. Year after year, I bought more and more properties. Each property brought in more money that I would then use to buy more properties. Here's the timeline for how I bought my first 19 properties. July 2007, Property 1. Purchased for cash $17,000. It rents for $525. I refinanced the property and took out $15,000 to buy my second property. October 2007, Property 2. It costs $10,200 cash and rents for $550. I refinanced the property and took out $20,000 to buy 2 more properties. April 2008, Property number 3. It costs $10,000 cash and rents for $500. June 2008, Property number 4. It costs $7,500 cash and rents for $500 as well. In real estate, buying properties with creative financing is one strategy to grow the business fast. One creative way to get financing is to use a credit card to purchase a property. You may say to me, that is crazy risky. Sure, it would be crazy if you were getting a 21% interest rate on the loan. It would also be crazy if you didn't know what you were doing. The credit card I took advantage of was a cash-out offer of 1.5% interest for the life of the loan. Think about it. A regular loan would be at least 4% interest for the life of the loan. With this credit card, I would only be paying 1.5%. Even with the different way credit cards calculate interest, this was a huge win. With a credit limit of $14,000, I pulled out every penny I could to purchase the next property. This next property brought in $525 a month in rents. Since the interest on the credit was only $50 a month, I was ahead $475. Talk about a great loan! September 2008, property number 5. It costs $13,000 in cash and rents for $525. Also in September 2008, property number 6. It costs $6,500 cash and rents for $500. Property number 7 in October 2008, $6,500 cash and rents for $500. March of 2010, property number 8. It costs $7,800 cash and rents for $500. July 2010, property 9. It costs $9,200 cash, rents for $525. Property 10, May 2011. It costs $10,500 cash and rents for $525. June of 2011, property 11. It costs $9,000 cash and rents for $500. The next month, July 2011, properties 12 and 13, it was a duplex. It cost $12,000 cash and rents for $850. February of 2012, property number 14. It costs $8,900 cash, rents for $525. April 2013, property number 15. It costs $11,000 cash, rents for $525. February of 2013, property number 16. It costs $7,800 cash and rents for $525. March of 2013, property 17. It costs $8,200 cash and rents for $495. December 2013, property number 18. It costs $8,900 cash and rents for $525. And property 19 in November of 2015. It costs $9,000 cash and rents for $495. The total rental income, not including expenses, for these properties each month is $9,590. Not too bad for 8 years of investing. Building up a business that has 19 properties took hard work, sacrifice, and dedication. Disclaimer: I must say that the model for investing in rental property business is very complex. I will not go into detail on how to effectively run this type of business because it would be way out of the scope of this book. If you want more detail on these, I have much more information for you on how to do this on my blog, www.masterpassiveincome.com. There, you'll find blog posts, online courses, books, and other resources on how you can quit your job with these passive income ideas. Since 2015, I have continued to build my rental business to even more properties and passive income in the form of monthly cash flow. Each property I buy brings in more money for me to buy more properties, which brings in more money so I can buy more properties, and so on. I will probably never stop buying properties. In December 2016, I worked my last day at a job ever. Because I pushed hard for 10 years, I am blessed to have quit my job and never have to work again. Resignation Day. It was a red painted lobster on a white canvas. As I sat there looking at this painting, I couldn't help but feel all the emotion of 9 years of work wash over me. As simple as it was, this piece of art always stirred something in me that made me strive every day to build my business so I could quit my job. Going through the images, pictures, and paintings on my cubicle wall, my eyes found this painting again, and I had to pause for a moment. It caused a flood of memories and emotions to come over me. After a moment of reflection, I got choked up thinking this would be the first day of the rest of my life. Because of that painting, I set in motion all those years ago a plan to never have to work a job again. Even though I landed a great job in another county department, after I was laid off from my original job with that horrible boss, I still wanted out. Reaching for that hand and foot painted picture of a red lobster to take it off the wall marked the culmination of 9.5 years of hard work and dedication. This piece of artwork had been hanging on the wall of my cubicle at my job since my oldest daughter painted it when she was only 1 year old. Obviously, she had help from a volunteer in her Sunday school class at church, but it was made by her. One upside-down foot made the body, 2 hands made the claws, and red paint made up the lobster. At first glance, I couldn't tell what it was, but my imagination took over, and now I see that beautiful lobster painted by my daughter with her tiny hands and feet. The reason why I desired to quit my job was to be with my wife and children more and work less. The picture my first child painted was the inspiration and motivation to keep pushing, keep building, and never stop my plan to quit my job with passive income. This was the day I officially resigned from my job working as a systems and procedures analyst for the county government. It was a great job. If I had no ambition to be on my own, this was the perfect job. Earned over $70,000 per year. Worked 4 days a week at 10 hours a day, with 3 days off every week. Received 90% of my pay as pension when I retired. Earned 11.5 hours of vacation time every 2 weeks. Was able to do 40 hours of work in only 10 hours. Enjoyable coworkers to work with, for the most part. Even with all these benefits, I desired more for my life. My desire was to get paid for the value that I brought, not the hours that I worked. I personally hate trading dollars for hours. That is, getting paid an hourly wage for 1 hour of work. If I did not work, I did not get paid. This day, my resignation day, was the start of the rest of my life. Being only 37 when I quit my job, I still had half of my life to live outside of having a job. For me, working until I was 68 years old was an absolute loss for me. That would be another 31 years of working for someone else rather than myself. Again, a loss. The walk to my car after work on December 15th, 2016 was the best walk I ever took. As I left my job for the final time, with all my family pictures, including that red lobster, and personal items in tow, I couldn't help but think that I was very blessed. That was the first day of the rest of my life. Now I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and never answer to a boss again. You know, on that beautiful, rainy walk to my car, I couldn't help but think how all this was possible. Looking back over the past 9.5 years of my life, building my passive income businesses, it was all worth it. All the sacrifices, hard times, ups and downs of the passive income business life was absolutely worth it. I am proof that this passive income thing really works. At age 37, I quit my job and will never work a job again. And this is all thanks to passive income and the businesses I have created. This day was the first day of the rest of my life. Life after a job equals amazing! Now, far removed from my job, I am living the life I could only have dreamed about. I am truly living the dream. Not working a job, earning money each month from my businesses, going on 6-week trips to Japan, snow skiing 3 or 4 days a week, deer hunting for weeks on end, working 3 hours a month on my rental business, making thousands each month from my online businesses, and doing whatever I want to do. The first thing I did after I quit my job was go on a 6-week vacation to Japan with my family. The 6 of us, with my father, traveled all over the country sightseeing everything there was to be seen. We ate the best sushi, enjoyed Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea, ate the best Kobe beef in Kobe, Japan, did CrossFit in Tokyo, stayed in the best places, all while still making money from my businesses. Each business makes money without me doing any work of my own, and I only work when I want to. Some people asked, why would you spend such a long time in Japan? 6 weeks is a long time. My reply to them is, because I can. I don't have a job to get back to. My businesses run themselves. What little work I need to do, I can do with my laptop and a Wi-Fi connection and a cup of green tea. The second thing I did was move my family from California to Arizona to be closer to my wife's side of the family. I didn't need to find a job. I didn't need a job. I could actually live anywhere in the world I desired. I'm not anchored down to a physical location because of a job. Again, my computer and Wi-Fi are all that I need to run my business. Next, I took my family on mini vacations around California. Carmel by the Sea, Monterey Bay Aquarium, South Lake Tahoe, Pismo Beach, Yosemite. They were all amazing trips that we thoroughly enjoyed. The last thing I did was nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. Why? Because I could. Life without a job is a dream when you're prepared and are successfully unemployed because you planned your escape from your job well in advance. Chapter 3. Rich, R-I-C-H, will change your life. Napoleon Hill once said, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when mixed with definiteness of purpose and burning desire, can be translated into riches." R-I-C-H, Rich, is your new acronym for your way of life and how you can prepare for your life after you quit your job. The rich lessons you're going to learn in this book are from someone who has already quit his job and blazed the trail for you to follow. The sections in this book will help you have the plan to quit your job and be set up to be successfully unemployed. Before you quit your job, apply these sections and lessons to help you quit successfully and never be employed again. The R in Rich stands for realization of self-worth. You are worth more than the paycheck you receive every 2 weeks. The value that you bring to your business is worth much more than any amount of money you can make per hour. All you need to do is realize that when your employer is paying you for your hour, he is really paying you to do something that will make him more money. Why not employ yourself and make 100% of the money off the time you spend working? Why shouldn't it be you who profits from your hard work and life spent building something? I'm telling you that there is no reason why you couldn't be the business owner, the investor, or the entrepreneur who makes money from your time spent doing work on your own business. It's time for you to realize you are worth more than your hourly wage. The I in Rich stands for independent attitude. Your independence is invaluable. Think of your independence as freedom. Would you not pay all the money you had for your freedom? Slaves have been around for thousands of years and did not start in America. Just about every slave desired their freedom. They would dream of the ability to work hard every day to buy their freedom. Think about that for a minute. Buy your freedom. In today's world, we have all been lulled to sleep in our lives. We've been taught from a very young age that we all must go to school, then go to college, then get a good job, and then work until retirement. This is no longer slavery where someone forces you to work, but is a sort of self-inflicted slavery. Slavery to the job you work day in and day out. This is nowhere near as horrible as actual slavery. It does, however, have the same outcome. You work for someone else so they can profit from your time and life. It's time to challenge that way of thinking, time to have an independent attitude, and time to work hard to gain your freedom. The letter C in Rich stands for capital growth. To live a life free from a job, you need to be successfully unemployed. The income that you receive from your businesses must replace the income from your job. So, you need to properly prepare for the time your paycheck stops coming in. Sustaining, growing, and multiplying your income is the key to this section of your planning. Without having 40 hours of your life taken up each week by a job, you can spend those 40 hours making more money for you and your family by growing your capital. And the H in Rich is for hacking your future. There are many benefits that come with your job. Honestly, you don't need them. They're nice to have, but you do not need them. By being successfully unemployed, you'll plan your way around these benefits to having a job. Your new businesses will match these benefits and surpass them. Your future must be hacked because the system is made for you to work a job. By successfully hacking your future, you'll be ready for all that life will throw at you. You'll see things coming way in advance and be prepared for them, or even laugh at them. Being rich is no longer just for those who were idolized on the 80s TV show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. You know, those lavish lifestyles with million-dollar yachts, ridiculously huge mansions, and private planes. Yes, these aren't bad in and of themselves, but the new definition of rich is all about the ability to design your life how you want it. If you want the yacht, mansion, and private plane, it's up to you to build a business that will accommodate that lifestyle. Being rich is about lifestyle design and living your life without a job the way you want to live. With this new thinking of what rich can be for you, these lessons will help you to have a different perspective about your future without a job. Section 1. R is for realization of self-worth. Harriet Tubman once said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world." You're worth more money than an hourly wage that you could earn from any job. I know that sounds crazy to hear, but it's true. Since elementary school, we've all been trained to work day in and day out at a job to make money to support ourselves. The reality is that you can make so much more money on your own than you ever could working for someone else. No matter what job you have or how much you make per hour, you're worth much more than that. If you really think about it, the hourly wage you are paid shows how much your employer believes you're worth. If you have a minimum wage job, you are only worth that to your employer. If your hourly wage is $100 an hour, then that is exactly how much you're worth. I'm here to tell you that you're worth much more than anyone can pay you. What you're being paid is not a true reflection of what you're worth. Your time should not be valued in dollars and cents. What you're worth is the value that you bring to anything that you do and whatever you apply yourself to. When you accept an hourly wage, you're agreeing with your employer on how much your time and talents are worth. Let's look at this in a different way. You're worth what you bring to the table, so to speak. If you're paid for the value you bring, you'd be making money from what you produce with your time. This is drastically different than being paid in the form of an hourly wage. You inherently know that you're worth more than you're getting paid at your job right now. It's time for you to understand just how much you're worth. Your worth is based on what you believe you're worth, not what someone else believes you're worth. Having a realization of your self-worth comes when you look at how your life is being spent. You are the valuable commodity, not your job. There are millions of jobs in the world, but there is only one you. If you settle for a job, any job, you're limiting yourself. Once you realize your job is holding you back from your true potential, your only limit is the one that you place upon yourself. For Section 1, R stands for realization of self-worth. Once you realize your self-worth, the sky is the limit for you. Again, you're worth more money than any job can pay you. That statement is true. Now, all you need to think about is how much money you will make without a job and how your business will prove that. Chapter 4. Lesson 1. How to be the richest man in the world. Margaret Wolfe Hungerford said, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder." I couldn't help but laugh. "I didn't know you were that rich," a friend of mine said to me one day. "What?" I replied. "You're quitting your job. You have to be rich," he added. "I'm not rich," I said as I chuckled a bit. "You don't have to be rich to quit your job," I said. I paused to read the expression on his face. "You just need to make enough passive income to replace your earned income." He looked a little puzzled as the thought of my quitting quickly sank in. "No," I continued, "I'm not rich, but I have all my needs met with my rental properties and online businesses that I do not need to work. It has taken me almost 10 years to get to this point, and I'm ready to quit." "What do you mean you have all your needs met?" he asked. "Well, my businesses bring in money in the form of cash flow each month. That means that each month I have money put into my pocket from my businesses. I've built up my businesses enough that the income each month has surpassed the income from my job." "So your rental properties bring in rent and your online businesses bring in money from ads and sales?" he asked as he was starting to understand. "Correct. There are ups and downs in sales and rent amount each month, but on average, all my expenses are paid for by my businesses. I'm quitting my job, not because I'm rich, but because I can," I said. As we sat in the waiting room of a large hospital to see my best friend who was fighting for his life, I went further into detail on two things, the how and the why of me quitting my job. You see, he believed that only rich people didn't work. Well, I guess if that's the definition of being rich, then I am truly rich. Some people desire to have expensive cars, fancy homes, and a lavish lifestyle. Those things are fine for some, but that's not what I desired when I made the commitment to myself to quit my job. I wanted the ability to no longer work for someone else and spend more time with my family while doing the things I want to do. So yes, I most definitely am rich by those standards, and I agree. Honestly, this is what my entire goal was 9 years prior, to be independent and not have to work for anyone. What I explained to my friend was the why was just as important as the how in anything, and especially when it came to quitting your job. If you don't know why you desire to quit your job, how will you know when it's the right time to quit? Some people make money their passion. The end goal is the money itself. The problem with having money be your passion is that you get to become just like J.D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history. When he was asked the question, how much money is enough? His answer was very telling of his passion for money. Just a little bit more. The desire for money never stops, but can actually become your master if you let it run away with you. As you pursue it, it will always flee from you. I find it's best to use it as a tool for the more important things in life. On my deathbed, I would regret the time I wasted chasing after things that were not important. What is important is my Lord, my wife, my children, my family, and my friends. Everything else is not important. Reminds me of a quote from a movie I rather enjoy. When told there was no time to go a course of action, the priest responded, "Time is of no importance, only life is important." As I explained this to my friend, he began to understand that you don't need millions of dollars to quit your job. I, on the other hand, realized that I actually was rich, but not in the way most people think. I can't, and wouldn't if I could, go out and buy a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or some other expensive toy. No, I'm rich in a different sense of the word. I'm rich in time and life, not money. Life is the most expensive thing you can spend. Your time, which equates to your life, is much more valuable than money. Even though I have enough money to never work a job again, I actually have the rest of my life to live my own way. Yes, being able to quit your job and doing the things you want to do will make you feel like you are the richest person in the world. For some, this may not be enough. Since beauty's in the eye of the beholder, the only perspective that matters is mine, not someone else's perspective or opinion. The day I quit my job, I was the richest person in the world. Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be so rich and have so much money that you don't know what to do with it? Joey said with excitement. He was the instructor of the free 1-hour real estate investment class / sales pitch I was attending. He was there on behalf of a real estate guru who recently had many infomercials playing on late-night TV in my area. Do you want to be so rich that you can travel the world the rest of your life? Or can buy a luxury car? Or even buy a vacation home in Hawaii? He continued. The excitement in the room from the attendees was almost palpable. No, I answered to myself, not sure why I was answering his question this way, but found myself really contemplating the question. As I listened to the entire real estate course from the instructor, all I could think about was being able to quit my job and never work for someone again. My answer to his question again was no. Crazy as it sounds, I really only wanted independence from everyone. The thought that I could work for myself, make my own schedule, have unlimited income, and actually make money rather than earn money got me passionate about real estate and passive income. All those things the instructor mentioned would be nice, but I wanted freedom. Financial, physical, and emotional freedom from what comes with having a job. A job that tied me down and kept me from living the life I wanted to live, whatever that life looked like. I wanted to be independent and free to do whatever I wanted without the hindrance of a job. Throughout the instructor's hour-long free course, I kept reminding myself, independence is freedom. Freedom is independence. Being dependent on a job has the feeling of wearing the type of shackles that an inmate would wear in a prison. Those shackles will only allow the wearer to go where the jailer allows him to go. A job is the shackles that an employer uses to keep his employee doing what he wants him to do. Wearing these shackles makes one beholden to their boss's boss, and his boss's boss. The fear of losing our entire income that we depend on to provide for our family comes from the inevitability of us being released from the job we depend on. While the instructor gave little tidbits of information about how to be rich, it seemed as though I was the only one who was not jumping out of my seat by what the instructor was saying. Maybe it's the skeptic in me, but I knew there was a catch. As the instructor went on, I realized that all this was just a big sales pitch for something that was going to cost more money. If you want to become filthy rich, all you need to do is pay $1,000 for you and a friend to come to our 2-day seminar on the things I shared today. The instructor was closing the deal. There it was, a sales pitch for $1,000 to come out of my pocket for something that seemed to be attainable. The thought of being able to quit my job with passive income in real estate was fascinating. Being a 27-year-old wannabe entrepreneur and ready to quit my job after 4 years working there, I was ready. The new world of passive income in real estate rental properties was just open to me, and I knew I had a lot to learn. With the help of my stepdad, we both attended the 2-day seminar together. The seminar was actually very good and opened my eyes to the possibility of making passive income from rental properties. That passive income would help me quit my job because of the cash flow coming in on a monthly basis. There it was. The light at the end of the tunnel was dim, but at least I could see it. A life without a job. Find your why for your life. Now that I shared with you my why for quitting my job, it is time for you to find out your why. This step is more important than you possibly realize. Having a why that drives you to succeed at times may be the only thing keeping you going when things get really hard. Think about these things as you consider your why for you to quit your job. What excites you? There must be something that you desire to do in life that would take the place of your work. Something that you can't stop thinking about or even keeps you up at night. If your desire is to be a full-time lead guitarist for a band, nothing could stop you from practicing, playing with friends, learning new songs, and finding a band to play with. Your why could even be something that possibly keeps you up at night. Maybe it's being a professional golfer. All your time and thoughts go to how to improve your game, finding new ways to put spin on the ball, or even practicing your putting at night while you watch TV. Think of the things that excite you and write them down. Narrow the list to one, or at most two, and spend a few days thinking about each. Having more than one is not an issue, but not having one at all is an issue. What are your strengths? Each of us has different strengths and weaknesses. Focus on your strengths and how they can help you get to your goal. Another way to think of it would be, what are you good at? The answer to this question should be applied to the first question. Your strengths should coincide with what gets you excited. You were created with a unique set of abilities and talents that work with your desires. As you focus on your strengths, the things you're excited about will become more pronounced and prominent. For example, my strengths are managing many things at one time. Real estate investing has many moving parts, and having the ability to manage everything well is a must. There are many people to manage, lead, and develop in the business that others may hate doing. I personally love this about real estate investing and feel more alive while I'm working on my business. Play to your strengths and they will help you fulfill your why and help you to achieve your goals. Take action. Number 1. Name 3 whys that are driving you to quit your job. List them in your journal. Number 2. What are 3 strengths you have that will help you build your business? List those in your journal. And number 3. What does success look like to you? What can you accomplish to make yourself feel as though you're the richest person in the world? Write your response in your journal. Chapter 5, Lesson 2, Learn How to Be an Entrepreneur. Tory Burch once said, "Being an entrepreneur isn't just a job title, and it isn't just about starting a company. It's a state of mind. It's about seeing connections others can't, seizing opportunities others won't, and forging new directions that others haven't." My jaw almost hit the floor. And the next level of training is a 2-week-long intensive training in our Florida offices where we will walk you step by step through the process of finding your first property. It will only cost $25,000, not including your travel and living costs. The apprentice of the real estate guru said in my 2-day seminar. What? I thought to myself. Thoughts raced through my mind about having to pay someone $25,000 to show me how to make money. I didn't even have $2,500 to my name, let alone $25,000. This was probably why at the end of the first day of the seminar, they gave us the steps to increase our credit score. We were instructed to call each of our credit card companies and request the largest amount of an increase in credit we could get. The student with the highest dollar increase would win a prize. I guess they didn't care if people went into debt, as long as they got their money. Could this be what I needed to do in order to gain my financial freedom? Spend $25,000 for more hands-on training? In my mind, if I was not smart enough to be successful on what they taught me in the 2-day seminar, the 2-week seminar wouldn't help much. No thank you, I said to the team of salesmen ready to take my money. The key trait for any entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs need to be just like vanilla ice. If there was a problem, I'll solve it. I know it's a bit corny, but I think you get the point. Being an entrepreneur is basically being a problem solver. When you really think about it, every business is basically solving a problem. Just think of the auto industry and why automobiles were invented. They were invented because the horse and buggy was slower and it was an animal-dependent form of transportation. The horse and buggy was invented to help people move from place to place faster than walking. The whole problem that was solved was transportation in a fast, efficient, and convenient way. Likewise, think of your local grocery store where you buy your food. If you boil it down, the problem was where to get the food. Rather than planting and growing your crops, raising your own cattle, or hunting for your food, you could go to one place to buy everything you needed. Being a problem solver is vital to being an entrepreneur. Every day, I get a problem to solve in my businesses. Whether it's a furnace that goes out on one of my properties, how to finance a new property that I'm buying, or how to fix a problem on my website, these are all problems that I need to solve. As a problem solver, I found that the 2-week seminar would be a problem for me because I didn't have the money to take the course. But I still needed to learn the information that was provided. This problem was easily solved by reading real estate investment books, watching online videos, and even reading blogs on how to do real estate investing. No matter what the problem is, an entrepreneur will always find a way. Your business is different than your job. The chair he was sitting in was much larger than it needed to be. Chuck, the business administrator of the church I was attending at the time, was an older man in his late 70s and was a very accomplished businessman. He'd owned many businesses. He not only didn't need the business administration job, I believe he actually did it for free. As I entered into his office to discuss some ministry business, he started the conversation with a question. "How's your business doing?" he said with curiosity. "My work's going fine. My boss thinks I'm doing a good job, and I just got a raise," I replied. "No, not your job. How is your business? Your job's your job. This is fine. But I'm curious about your business. How's that going?" he said. He knew that I had a small graphic and website design company that serviced many small customers in the area. After I considered his question for a moment, I realized that I had made a huge mistake. Even though I knew I wanted to be out of my job and be an entrepreneur, I still considered myself an employee. My first reaction to his question was how my job was going because I considered myself to be an employee with a side business. How you see yourself is how others will see you too. If you see yourself as an employee, that's what they'll see you as. If you see yourself as a business owner, that's how they will see you. I was projecting myself still as an employee, even though I had my small business for 5 years and was doing quite well. In response to his question, I should have considered myself as an entrepreneur with a side job. The first time I began telling people that I was a real estate investor was very nerve-wracking for me. Even though I already had a dozen properties, I felt as though my identity was still with my job. A common question most people get is, "So, what do you do for a living?" The easiest answer is where you are employed. For an entrepreneur, this is what you should not do. When you are asked this question, you need to identify yourself as the business owner you are and what type of business you run. You're no longer an employee with a side business, but an entrepreneur with a side job. Even if you just started your business 5 days ago, you're a business owner and need to picture yourself as one. Even if you feel as though you may be an imposter posing as a business owner, don't let that stop you from picturing yourself as one. The more you tell yourself that you are a business owner, the more you'll believe it, and the more others will believe it. If all else fails, fake it until you make it, and trust me, the longer you see yourself as a business owner, the easier it'll be. Learn, learn, learn. Never stop learning. My forehead was dripping with sweat. "Mr. Heiner, your seat is right over here. When you're ready, click the start button on the test and begin. You'll have 4 hours to complete the test. Please report back to me when you're done." The proctor said this in a monotone voice that would make you fall asleep. "Thank you," I said nervously as I took my seat and got ready to take the 4-hour test. As I positioned the mouse over the start button for the test, I couldn't help but think how much I hated taking tests. They always felt to me like they were not a true representation of my knowledge or abilities. It also didn't help that I was a horrible test taker and always second-guessed my answers. It was the third time I had taken the Graduate Management Admissions Test, or GMAT. It's the SATs for business schools. At 22 years, I thought the only way I could succeed in business would be by getting a Master's of Business Administration, or MBA, at a prestigious school. The first 2 times I took the GMAT, my scores were horrible. Out of 800 total points, I scored 522. In order to get into any good business school, I would need to get at least 700. After applying to business college and realizing that my test scores were not good enough, evidenced in fact by my rejection letters, I decided I needed to get my education elsewhere. Maybe it was just me, but I felt as though my college education was a waste of time and money. Even though I studied business and entrepreneurship in college, I felt I only learned what other people wanted me to learn. Classes like Accounting 4A and 4B were a complete waste of time for me. I hate accounting with a passion. Even though I understand numbers in business, it's definitely not something I have a desire to do or learn more about. I was even forced to take classes that had nothing to do with business as a part of my education to get a regular bachelor's degree. For some people, these classes are fine to take, but for me, it was a huge waste of time and money. After all my education, I've realized that I only want to learn what I want to learn, not what someone else tells me to learn. Being an entrepreneur, I play to my strengths and pay other people to do the things either I am not good at or I do not want to do. Since I hate accounting, I pay my accountant to do all that work for me. I also hate property management and dealing with tenants, so I pay my property manager to do the work for me. I also hate designing covers for my books and formatting the pages, so I pay a designer to do that work for me. There is, however, something that entrepreneurs just can't outsource or get around. That one thing is learning. As much as I never want to go to school again, I know that I will always need to learn new things that will help my business succeed. Just because I never want to go to school again doesn't mean that I never want to learn anything again. In fact, it's just the opposite. The further removed I am from school, the more I realize how much I don't know and how much I need to learn about my business and how to make it better. Learning how to be a better business owner and how to refine your tradecraft is vital for any entrepreneur or business owner. The day a business owner feels that they know everything and do not need to learn anymore is the day their business begins to die. It's said that leaders are readers. I fully agree with that. I personally try to read or listen to as many books or audiobooks as I can. I then apply it to my business and life. I find that the more books I read, the better I become and the more money I can make. It's good to learn from your mistakes, but why not learn from other people's mistakes and never make them yourself? As you learn and read about how others perform in business and life, you'll have learned from years of others' life experiences and can apply them to yourself. To quote one of my favorite movies, Tommy Boy, with the late Chris Farley and David Spade, when talking about his business, Tommy's dad said, "Ron, don't tell me the bank thinks we need to wait it out. Any business that tries to wait it out is just that, out. In auto parts, you're either growing or you're dying. There ain't no third direction." The same goes with every business and every entrepreneur. You're either growing or dying. There ain't no third direction. Entrepreneurs must continually be learning new ways to make their businesses better, make more money from their existing business, and find new ways to make money. There will always be a competitor who will take over your place in line for your customers' money. You don't always have to go to school. You don't have to go to a big-name school to learn how to be successful in business. You just need to learn how your business can become better, stronger, faster, and make more money. Never stop learning. Find a mentor. Master Yoda said, "Do or do not. There is no try." I never understood, and still don't, why people pay money to life coaches. Apparently, a life coach is someone who will help you see what you're doing wrong and tell you how to make your life better. This seems rather funny to me because anyone can call himself a life coach and market himself to the masses. I have personally known a few people who try to make money as a life coach, giving out their wisdom to anyone who will pay them, or just listen. The sad thing is that if you really know the person, who they are, how they treat people, and how they run their business, you would never pay them a dime because they don't even practice what they preach. Even worse, they make you believe that they're already successful and in a place where you want to be. There were two great movies that came out many years ago. One movie had an old man helping a young man learn to defend himself, and the other had a 3-foot-tall, 900-year-old green alien with long pointy ears teaching a different young man how to defend himself as well. In both cases, the young men were students of the older mentor who taught them what they knew. Of course, these two movies were The Karate Kid and Star Wars. If you haven't seen either of these, I highly recommend that you do. However, the point is twofold. One, a student who wants to learn something needs a mentor, and two, every mentor needs to be found by the student. Imagine Yoda advertising on Facebook his life coaching ability to teach people how to use the Force to defend themselves. Try to picture Mr. Miyagi going to competitions with advertising flyers of his life coaching ability and how he can teach young kids to defend themselves from big bullies. What we see in both movies is that the student sought out the mentor who was already where the student wanted to be in life and was willing to devote all his time to learn how to become like his mentor. Could Luke Skywalker and Daniel San have learned on their own how to defend themselves? Maybe. It would have taken them much longer to develop their skills without the help of their mentor. Without Mr. Miyagi, Daniel-san would have gone the entire school year being beat up by his enemies rather than winning the karate tournament and getting the girl in just 1 month. I use these two movies to illustrate the point that having a mentor who is already where you want to be is the best option to show you the path to get there. A map will show the path others have already taken. Imagine yourself going on a trip to Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Without a map showing you the direction to get there, it would take you months to finally get to see Mickey face to face. With a map, one that shows you the shortest route, places you can stop along the way, and even possible dangers that may come in your path to the Magic Kingdom, you will get there in the most efficient manner and the shortest time possible. Think of a mentor as someone who has already arrived in a place where you want to be. They already took the path, they know where to go, what to avoid, and they have made a map for you to get there. The mentor will also guide you along the way if you get tripped up, have questions, or just need encouragement to keep going. No matter who your mentor is, he or she should be in the place that you want to be. The best way to find a mentor is to search for them. Just like Luke Skywalker searched for Yoda, who did not necessarily want to be found, Luke went to where Yoda was. If your goal is to run a marathon, then cycle a 100-mile race and compete in an Ironman triathlon race, you need to seek out someone who has already done that and go to where they are. If your goal is to be the best real estate agent in your town, you ask everyone you know in the business who is the most successful real estate agent in town. Once you find that person, it's now your job to sell yourself as a potential student. The best mentors are those who are already where you want to be and have a desire to share their experiences because they have a passion for helping people. You will find that most successful people are willing to share their experiences with you if you just buy them a cup of coffee. In order to get a mentor, though, you need to show your potential mentor how you can be of benefit to them. What you're asking for in a mentor is their time. To them, their time is the most precious thing they have, and they're not going to just give it to you for free. It's on you to figure out how you can be of benefit to them in a way that will help them as well. If it's just a one-way relationship, where you're taking but not giving back, the potential mentor would probably desire to spend his time doing things other than teaching you. I've personally helped many people get to where I am. One particular student of mine went from owning no investment properties to 4 in 1 year, making an extra $1,800 in passive income each month. What he needed was a roadmap to get to where I am, as well as the ability to ask questions along the way. Where I had a 10-year plan to quit my job, he has a 2-year plan to quit his. He and I talked 4 years prior about the potential of investing in rental properties and how I was on my way to quit my job. He understood the benefits and desired to get started, but never actually did. Now, 4 years later, he's on his way to quit his job with rental property business. If he would have started 4 years ago, when we first talked, he could possibly already have quit his job by now. Take action. Number 1. What are 2 major problems you're faced with that are hindering you from quitting your job? List them in your journal. Number 2. Brainstorm solutions for these problems. Write down your ideas. And number 3, who can you look to as a mentor for your business? List 3 people who you will ask to be a mentor. Give yourself no more than 1 week to reach out to them. Offer to help them with their business in any way in order to be mentored by them. Chapter 6, Lesson 3, The Drive of an Entrepreneur. Kevin O'Leary once said, "I actually think being an entrepreneur is a state of mind. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, my thesis is that you have to sacrifice everything for some period in your life to be successful, refocused, and unbalanced in every way. Once you achieve success, you're free to do whatever you like." His apartment-sized birdcage was full of hundreds, if not thousands of birds. I watched in amazement as Sam filled box after box with birds for his business. It was 3:30 a.m., and he was plucking the birds out of the air, effortlessly placing them into boxes to be sold in the next couple hours. He looked as though he was focused, intent, purposeful, and having the time of his life. Even though it was 3:30 in the morning, Sam was alive. Just a few years before, Sam quit his good-paying job to live his life the way he wanted. He didn't want to be tied down to a 40 or more hour a week job. Because of Sam's businesses and passive income, he only works 1 day a week. At 2:30 a.m., he wakes up on a Friday morning to take his weekly trip to Los Angeles from Fresno, selling birds to big box stores, little stores, and even swap meet vendors. On the day of the week he works hard. The 10-hour round trip from Fresno to Los Angeles is a ride he takes with joy as he sells his birds along this stretch of California Highway 5. Before he started his business selling birds, Sam worked for UPS as a truck loader and then driver. The problem for Sam was that he felt boxed in and confined, and his desire was to be free. Free to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. One day after 8 years of employment at UPS, he called it quits. It wasn't a rash decision, but a calculated one. A year prior to working at UPS, he saw the opportunity to build a business selling birds. 9 years later, he had a $50,000 a year business selling birds and no longer needed to work his job at UPS. Today, he still sells his birds all over California and has branched out to many other businesses, real estate rental properties, book writing, buying and selling cars, etc. Sam is a dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneur. No matter what life throws at Sam, he will always find a way around it, over it, under it, or even through it. Being able to adapt and change to his situation in life, he will never work a job again. Even if his bird business fails, his rental properties burn down, and his investments are destroyed, he will find a way to make money without a job. What it takes to quit your job. So what does it take to be able to live a life never working a job again? What separates Sam from the rest of those who are relegated to work day in and day out for someone else waiting for retirement? The answer is easier than it might seem. It's not a rich inheritance, winning the lottery, or marrying into money, although those can really help. No, the answer is one word: drive. Those who've already quit their job, like Sam, have the drive to push themselves to new heights, new limits, and new destinations. Without having his drive, Sam would have given up many times when his business was struggling. Sam could have given up with any of these setbacks. A bird virus almost wiped out his entire inventory of birds. The government passed a law that no animals could be sold at swap meets. His largest customer, PetSmart, left him for a competitor. His supplier did not have the inventory needed to satisfy his customers for months. Even though these huge problems could have stopped Sam, he continued pushing, continued growing, and continued his businesses. The business application of having drive can be summed up quite succinctly: entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is someone who takes risks, goes out on their own, and pushes through everything that stands in their way of being who they want to be and doing what they want to do. They start companies, build businesses, and create money from nothing. Being an entrepreneur, your business begins and ends with you. There's no boss, shareholder, or person dictating to you what you can or cannot do. You're the boss. You're in control. Ultimately, you're responsible if the business is a success or failure. Real entrepreneurs push through all things that get in their way and make their business successful. Your businesses will have both good and bad times. What will set you apart from others who never make it is your ability to keep going, no matter what may get in the way of your success. That's how you will be able to quit your job and live the life you want. Be determined to succeed. The second best time. Here's an old Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. He hung his head as he contemplated what we just discussed. Rick, a co-worker of mine, wanted to discuss how I got all my rental properties and was building my business. You're years ahead of me, and I'm in no place to do what you're doing. I have bills, children, my job, Rick said to me with a sad tone in his voice. You don't think I have those too? I replied. Of course you do, but yours are 5 years ahead of me, he said. I started right where you are now. The only difference is I started, I continued. If you don't get started now, what makes you think you'll start a year, 2 years, or 3 years from now? Unless you make the change now, you'll still be in the same place you are now, just 3 years older. As I tried to help my friend understand the possibilities of passive income, rental properties, businesses, and freedom without a job, he couldn't see the forest through the trees. He was focused on the problems at hand and couldn't get out of being reactionary. What he needed was to become proactive, not reactive to the situations in his life. It took me 9 years to build my businesses up enough to replace my income from my job. This 9 years is not a magical timeline or formula, but it's how long it took me to quit my job. Going from no business to a business that you can live on will most likely not come overnight. There's no get-rich-quick scheme that will get you there. Just hard work, perseverance, and dedication to the goal. Whatever was holding you back from starting down the path to quit your job, don't let that stop you anymore. No matter where you are in life, make a commitment to yourself. Commit to pursuing a life without a job by building passive income and businesses that will help you become free. To be successful in business, you don't need to be creative. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't even need a college education. What you do need to do is to become an entrepreneur. Take action. What obstacles are holding you back from starting, growing, or developing your entrepreneurial business right now? List them in your journal. Like Sam, how can you overcome these obstacles with the drive of an entrepreneur and be successful? Brainstorm in your journal. To become an entrepreneur, you need to think like one. Imagine all your obstacles as problems to be solved. Tackle these obstacles, knowing that you will be successful. Write down what your life will be like once you've overcome these obstacles and are successfully unemployed. Now visualize yourself victorious over these obstacles and apply your drive to blast through them. Chapter 7, Lesson 4, Working on or in your business. Nolan Bushnell once said, "The critical ingredient is getting off your butt and doing something. It's as simple as that." A lot of people have ideas, but there are few who decide to do something about them now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. The true entrepreneur is a doer, not a dreamer. The grin on his face was ear to ear, shaking hands as people walked in the door, laughing with a retired Army veteran, conversing with the local elderly ladies who had breakfast at 10 a.m. every Wednesday, and hustling back and forth between all his guests. He was in his element. Tony, a retired dishwasher, is now the owner of 2 local breakfast houses where he can be found daily greeting all his guests who are dining in his restaurant. "Hey, Tony, how many hours did you work today?" I asked him one day. 3 hours. Woke up at 8 a.m., had breakfast with my amazing wife, hung out with the kids, got into the restaurant around 10:30 a.m., then left around 1:30 p.m., then went home and took a nap. Oh, and I had lunch with some friends in the middle there for an hour, so technically 2 hours, he replied with a childish grin. We were sitting in his favorite booth. This is the perfect spot in the corner of the restaurant where he can see everything going on from this one location. Like a catcher on a baseball field, from this one position, Tony could see everything going on in the entire place. With his back to the wall, he could see if something is amiss and would be right on top of it. "Amazing. Is this every day for you?" I asked. "Oh no, that's not usual. I usually work only 1 hour," he said jokingly. This is why I've affectionately named him Chief Crazy Talk. He loves to laugh and have a good time, but when it comes to his business and getting work done, he's a hard worker. "Seriously though," he continued, "I don't work any more than I have to. I work hard at not working hard." "What do you mean by that?" I asked. "I don't want to work in my business. That's why I have a general manager, assistant managers, senior servers, cooks, bussers, and other employees who work in the business. I spend my time the way I want to spend it," he replied. "Wouldn't you make more money if you didn't have a general manager and did her job?" I asked. "Sure I would. I would make a lot more money. I pay her very well. I pay all my assistant managers well. But then I would have to do her job, and I don't want to. My time is better spent building the business, finding new customers, figuring out marketing, planning for the future, etc. My time is more valuable when I work on the business, not in the business," Tony said as our lunch arrived. We began to eat some catfish and chips, and I asked him to explain a bit more on his philosophy of not working in your business, but instead working on your business. Think about it. Washing dishes is a fine thing to do, and it's a job that needs to be done. But I can pay someone else to do it. Same thing goes with serving, bussing tables, or even managing the store. I can pay someone else to do that. What I can't do is pay someone to see the things I see or grow the business like I want it to be grown. Also, building the business is what I like to do. I don't mind washing dishes at all, but I only have so much time to give to my business, and it's best spent building the business, he explained. 2 hours a day? I said jokingly. Exactly, Chief Crazy Talk said with a grin. I only work when I want to, and do what I want to do. If I don't want to do it, I pay someone else to do it, he said. What if you don't have the money to pay someone else to do the work because the business is lacking in sales, in income, or some other way to pay your employees? I asked. If I can't afford to hire someone for a job that needs to get done, I find a way to make enough money to pay for that person. If I can't afford a dishwasher right now, all I need to do is focus my time on increasing my total sales by $20 per hour. I hire someone for one of 2 reasons, to make me money or to make my life easier. That's it. If they don't fulfill one of those functions, they're a waste of money to me. If I work on my business and increase sales by $20 an hour, that pays for all the expenses of my new dishwasher I'll hire, he said. So you focus all your time and effort to work on your business rather than in it, focusing on building the business rather than washing dishes, I said as we were heading out the door. Tony nodded in agreement and smiled. As we were finishing up our lunch at his bustling restaurant, he said one final thing to me. It's hard work to not have to work hard. It's something that you must put effort into. It doesn't come easy. Those who must control everything and everyone in their lives will not make it far in business. You need to let others take the load off your shoulders so you can build your business by working on your business, not in it. Your business needs to grow. Being a business owner while having a job, you may be asking yourself, should I hire someone to do the work for me? This question is one every business owner must ask themselves at some point. In reality, the answer depends on if you want to be working on your business or in your business, and if you want to grow your business or not. Depending what type of business you're starting, it may be wise to hire out certain aspects to others. For instance, a real estate rental business would be an easy business to hire people, especially when the properties are in another state. If you managed your rental properties yourself, you'd make more money on each property per month because you're saving the money you would normally pay to a property manager. The issue is you are doing the work that you can pay someone else to do. The key to building a business is to not actually do the work yourself, but pay someone else to do the work for you. The entrepreneurial way is to build the business in a way that it is automated to run without you. When you hire employees, even though you're not working on your business, it's still working for you, making you money. Your responsibility as a business owner is to work on the business, not in the business. The difference between those two ideas is dramatic in its effect on your life. The reason why I got into investing in real estate was to not have a job, but be personally independent. I got tired and fed up with doing tasks needed to make the organization run. If I worked an hour, I got paid an hourly wage for that hour. Instead, I wanted to get paid for the value that I bring, not the hours that I put in. Being an entrepreneur allows me to do just that. Working in your business. Many of us have had numerous jobs in our lives, be it hourly, salary, or commission-based jobs. It doesn't matter how you get paid. You're getting paid for the hours you put in or the work that you do. If you do not go to work, service your customers, or do the job, you don't get paid. Your job is completely dependent on you doing the work. Being an entrepreneur is all about getting paid for the value that you bring, not the hours that you work. When you build a business, you have the opportunity to make your income truly passive by developing a strong business with a great team. The reason why your income is passive is that you still make money if you do nothing. The team members that you put on your team are the ones that work in your business to make you money. With a business, you're no longer an employee. Gone are the days when you clock in to work, get your 2 mandatory 15-minute breaks, your 30-minute lunch, and then clock out and go home. That's what employees do. You are now the employer. It's your responsibility to make sure that your employees are the ones that make the business run. Your goal should be to do as little as possible and make the most money from other people's efforts. There's a quote from John D. Rockefeller that sums this up very well. I would rather earn 1% off 100 people's efforts than 100% off my own efforts. In my real estate rental property business, where I'm already investing, I usually spend about 3 hours in total buying a property, fixing it up, and renting it out. Honestly, only 3 hours in total. In my business, I'm responsible for finding a property, evaluating the property, and purchasing the property. After that, I let my team do what they do best, which is get the property rented. All but one of my properties I purchased without stepping foot into the property. I haven't even seen it in person, but only through pictures, inspection reports, and quotes for repairs from contractors. What I need is specific information from them to help me know which property to buy. That information can come from any source that I trust, and I make a decision to proceed or not based on that information. I invest in locations that are thousands of miles away from me, and it would be impractical for me to physically view each one. That's why I trust my team to give me the right information when selecting a property for purchase. I don't work in my business, but work on my business. Working on your business. So, what are your personal responsibilities within your business? If you set up your business right, you'll do all your work up front when you purchase the property, but little to nothing after that. The majority of my work is done when I set up the company. Here are some key areas that I work on my business. Find a location. I personally like to invest out of my area far away from where I live. The reason why is because I find a greater return for my money invested in areas outside of California. For example, I bought and rehabbed a property for $23,000 and currently get $500 per month in rent from it. Personally visit the area. Since I invest all over the country, I fly into the area to make sure that it's a place I want to invest in. The goal for the trip is to meet and interview potential team members and drive the location to get a sense of the area and if it's a place I'd like to invest in. I also look at any properties that are currently listed for sale. This isn't necessarily to buy one that I look at, but it's more so I can see the quality and type of construction in the area. Assemble my team. After I get back from the area, I contact the team members I want to work with and place them on my team. I always keep a list of other team members I interviewed and did not select in case I need them in the future. Acquire a property. The first property you buy in an area is always the most time-consuming because you're still developing your business and don't have all the pieces in place yet. You need to get the contractors, the property manager, realtor, inspectors, etc. Get them all in place so they can do their part. Put my team to work getting the property rented. After you know how each of your team members work, you're able to work more efficiently and acquire properties much faster because you know how to best utilize each team member. Working on your business is to do all the things that make your business grow. Fixing a plumbing leak in one of your rental properties is not working on your business. That's something that you can pay an hourly employee to do. If you pay a handyman $75 to fix a plumbing leak that you can do yourself, you've saved yourself 2.5 hours of work. It's your responsibility as the business owner to use your time in a way to make your business grow. You could spend your time finding another property that will make you even more money than the $75 you paid a plumber. For example, if it takes me 2.5 hours to fix a plumbing leak, I would save approximately $75 for my time. Right now, it may seem like saving $75 for 2.5 hours of your life would be good if you're currently making $15 an hour. Your hourly rate would actually be $30 an hour since you're making $75 by spending 2.5 hours of your life like you would in a normal job. 75 divided by 2.5 equals $30 an hour. But what about the opportunity cost of that 2.5 hours? Opportunity cost is the cost of an alternative that must be foregone in order to pursue a certain action. If you spent 2.5 hours buying another rental property that may make you $3,600 in 1 year, then the $75 you saved doing your own plumbing could cost you $3,600 because you missed out on a property. Working on your business instead of spending the 2.5 hours buying one rental property will bring you almost an unlimited hourly rate. Think about it. You buy a rental property that takes you almost 5 hours to purchase. If you got paid a specific dollar amount for the work you put in, that would be your hourly wage. What's fantastic about passive income investing in real estate is that you continually get paid for the same 5 hours of work you put in until you sell the property. Only after you sell the property would you be able to calculate your hourly wage because your pay goes on and on. Here's a quick example of how long it takes me to acquire a new property for rent. Step 1. Locate and identify the potential investment property. 0 hours. I have realtors working all the time finding me properties to evaluate and possibly purchase. They get paid when I buy a property, so it's up to them to work hard to find me a property to buy. Step 2. Evaluate the list of potential properties. This takes 1 to 2 hours. I have the contractor and property manager go through the property to find all the issues with the property and estimate repair costs. After I have assessed the total cost to rehab the property, I deduct the total from the asking price. Step 3. Analyze the numbers. This takes about 1 hour. It's important to make sure that the property is worth pursuing. I want to check the cash flow of the property to make sure it's a good investment. Step 4. Have my realtor present the offer to the seller. This takes 0 hours. It takes no time at all because the realtor does all the work. Step 5. Sign the contract. This takes 10 minutes. The realtor emails me the contract. I print out the contract, sign on the appropriate locations in the contract, and send the scanned image back to the realtor. Step 6. Open escrow. This takes 0 hours. Once again, no time taken because the realtor and title company do all the work. Step 7. Property inspections. This takes 10 minutes. My property manager will schedule all the inspections I feel are necessary. The inspectors then send me the report via email when they're finished. Reviewing the inspections goes very quickly. With experience, it will be quick and easy to spot potential problems with the property. Step 8 is to close escrow. This takes only 30 minutes. I work with the title company to transfer the funds needed for the purchase of the property. Depending on their processes and procedures, it could be as little as 10 minutes to 30 minutes to close escrow and deliver the funds. Everything is done electronically. Step 9. Rehab the property. This takes only 10 minutes. Since I've already evaluated the property and have a general idea of the work needed to be done, my property manager will manage the rehab of the property. I'll also review the before and after pictures sent by the contractors and property manager. And step 10. Find a tenant and sign the lease. This takes 0 hours. Once the property is completed, it's up to my property manager to find a good tenant and sign the lease. Total time through these 10 steps is only 3.6 hours. So the amount of time it would take to purchase a rental property is about 3.5 hours. That's only 1 more hour than the plumbing project that would make you $30 an hour. If this one property that you spent 3.5 hours buying makes you $300 a month for 12 months, you make $3,600 in the first year for your 3.5 hours of work, or $1,029 per hour. Imagine if you own the property for 10 years. Just from the cash flow alone, you'd earn $36,000 for your 3.5 hours of work. That's $10,285 per hour. Employing others to work for you will allow you to spend your precious time on things that actually make you money. Or even spend your precious time with your family instead of fixing a plumbing leak. Personally, I'm glad that I invest in rental properties and use a property manager. By employing him to do all the work, I have so much more time to do the things that matter most. I completely understand that when you're starting out investing in real estate, every penny counts, and it's hard to pay out money when you don't have enough of it. If this is the case for you and you need to do the repairs yourself, your goal should be to build up your business income enough to pay someone else to do the work. You need to work hard for a while so that you don't have to work hard in the future. What I mean is put your time into building your business now so you can employ other people to do the work for you while you concentrate on the things that matter most. From now on, focus on working on your business, not in it. Take action. Number 1, name 3 ways you're working in your business that you should stop right away. List them in your journal. Number 2, who can you give some of your responsibilities to in your business to free you up to focus on building your business? List them in your journal and what they should do to take over for you. And number 3, how can you build up your team more to allow you to work on your business rather than in it? List them in your journal.